The Sherford Consortium are putting a planning application for a Section 73 application in January 2018. This is after a year-long review of the plan, which is part of the evolution of Sherford, where we are trying to take on board the necessity for a really high quality, sustainable drainage system, which will ensure that within this Devon landscape that the water is dealt with correctly. The master plan is going to change as part of this process. We have undertaken a series of master plan review workshops. There's been 5 in total over a whole year. And that has led us to understand that introducing a sustainable drainage system within the plan requires a redeployment of land uses within the overall area. So there is now going to be a lot more green space within the master plan, creating really good quality distinct neighbourhoods, 3 in total. And that has meant that the green space is now part of the master plan and part of the town, which you can interact with considerably better. So this new layout for the master plan is for phase 2 onwards. This is where we've had significantly more challenging topography, and that's one of the triggers for having to redesign this. Phase 1 was a lot easier, it was a lot flatter, and there was enough room to deliver the improved drainage at its edge. So therefore, phase 1 all works and is carrying on as designed. What won't change is the amounts of open space and the amount of housing. And the quality of that space and the quality of that housing. In fact, the quality of the open space will be significantly enriched. What we're doing is bringing green space into the site to accommodate additional drainage. It's very important that we keep up with current legislation for drainage, especially with the elements of flooding that you hear about in the news these days, and that's going to get more and more, and it's important that we adhere to the requirements of the Environment Agency to ensure that we take on board climate for change and the 40% that's required in terms of extra drainage here. So the best practice nowadays is to ensure that the majority of drainage is above ground and is therefore easily maintained, easily solved. Problems are easily solved if something happens to it. If there's a blockage, you can get to it very easily. And that ensures a safety of that. So the key changes being applied for in this application are the introduction of quite significant green infrastructure corridors. Now, these corridors sit on the stream valleys that run through the site. And off these areas, we've designed new drainage basins that will have a mixture of uses. They'll have storage use when there's flood storage is required. And when they're dry, they'll be usable for recreation, both sort of lying around in the sun, having a picnic, or kicking a ball around. So they're designed in a way that they don't look like deep ponds. They are open spaces to be used. The benefit of this is this brings it into a far more modern sort of master plan where it takes on board the opportunity for multifunctional green space, which is right on your doorstep. And I think one of the benefits is this is bringing green space and frontage green space, so on your doorstep, which you can walk out onto and your house looks out onto. I think we're doubling the amount of houses that would be looking onto that green space. It then forms a really good network which brings the opportunity for the wildlife habitat improvement, biodiversity improvement, as well as a really good strong connection. There's 2 corridors that run into the community park. And that makes the community park more accessible, and it'll make it more successful. In addition to that, some of these green spaces will also be set up and designed as village greens or indeed formal spaces, so they'll have a different role to play within the master plan. The original design for Sherford was to create a new town on the edge of Plymouth. This is something that we still want to achieve, and the essence of town will definitely stay within Sherford. Sherford will now have, however, 3 more distinct neighbourhoods as they sit within an overall landscape which they interact with in a far more open way. The previous plan had a very polarised situation where it was very urban on the northern side, and then the country park was to the south. What we've done to accommodate the requirements of drainage is bring some of that country park into the town. That means it's more accessible, but it doesn't diminish the town in any way. You'll still have that great urban feel in the main streets and in the local centres. But it will feel softer at the edges, and it will have a better mix of place, where you do have the urban and you also have the semi-rural and access to rural areas, and also areas that will have a distinct feeling of being suburban, where people have a bit more space, larger gardens as well. So that has allowed us to have a town that's more mixed and will have a great deal of character. Another element of the changes to the master plan is looking at how we balance where we put the car when we've parked it. And indeed, some of it will still be at the rear where appropriate, but there'll be other choices as well, where you can park your car or personal transport at the front or the side of the property, but dealt with in a really nice way, so it's part of the street. We've undertaken a year-long process of review, which has involved 5 workshops with the local authority and skilled professionals who have informed us and led to a good understanding of what needed to change here. The most important element from this is that we've been listening. We've been listening and making sure that as we go forward, we make changes for the better. So next steps for the planning application are to go out to the community and get their feedback from the work that we've been doing over the last year. And we have a series of events coming up before submission, so that we can get their feedback and incorporate that in the plans that we submit. Well, Sherford's still going to be an amazing place to live, but we just made it better. We've brought in the green space into the town. That gives you some fantastic opportunities for passive and active recreation, and being able to walk out of your door, down through a really beautiful green corridor, down into the country park, and use all of those facilities on your doorstep will make it a really fabulous place to live. I think also it's going to have 3 really distinct, very good quality neighbourhoods, and each of those neighbourhoods will have a centre at its centre, and that will have everything that you need on a daily basis. So you'll have a school, you'll have shops and community facilities, all in easy reach, and that will create and foster community. And people want to be able to live in a place that you feel part of, and that community and that ability to do everything that you want to do with your family and yourself in an area with good quality facilities is what will make Sherford great.